Well, righty talkers prove once again that racism pays. I think there is truly a totally double standard here. Dr. Laura announced that she would end her longtime radio show after unloading on an African-American caller on the air back in the month of August. She was supposed to go off the air the next month, but it turns out, well, she just cut a new deal with Sirius Satellite Radio for a live 3-hour call-in show that launches in January. Good for her. Well, to put that in perspective, Dr. Laura currently has about 8 million listeners. Sirius has 20 million subscribers. Do the math. She'll have a big potential audience. But let me get this straight. Dr. Laura went ballistic on an African-American caller, used the N-word 11 times, and basically said people shouldn't date outside their race, and all she gets is a potentially bigger audience and more pay. Today, Dr. Laura bragged about how she'll be able to say whatever she wants in her new venue. She said, quote, "I'm so overjoyed to be in the arena where I can expand my format, where it's uncensored, where they reward true free speech." Can you believe this? She uses the N-word 11 times on a black caller, yet she's acting like she's the victim of prejudice. Where are the consequences? Well, there aren't any. Where's the punishment? There will be none. All Dr. Laura is getting is a longer leash to spread her hate. Joining me now is Reverend Al Sharpton, president of the National Action Network. Is this the market at work? Reverend, good to have you with us tonight. What do you make of this?
Well, I think it's disgusting. I think when you deal with the fact, Ed, that people are now rewarded with no sense of shame by some of the media entities. Let's face it, the claim to fame of Dr. Laura now is the using of the N-word, saying she's leaving radio. Now she comes, as you very aptly put it, like she was the victim. Let's forget about the people she offended that are black. Let's forget about the woman who she said in so many terms, you shouldn't be in an interracial marriage. The victim here was Dr. Laura, who was delivered by XM Radio. This is insulting to those Americans that believe we should not be rewarding this kind of ugliness. I also think you're right. It's a double standard. If anyone that is considered not even on the left but in the center says anything offensive, they're castigated. If they ever shook hands with the president, he's castigated. The right can say whatever they want and get multi-year contracts, a pat on the back, and a reward. I think it is something that undermines the credibility of this country's media establishment.
Reverend Sharpton, the people buy subscriptions to satellite radio. It's the marketplace reacting. That's what they're going to come back and say. It is unregulated territory. So how do you deal with it?
Well, I mean, they have the right to do it. It doesn't make them right to do it. And
yeah.
I deal with it the same way when we jumped on the rappers and the hip-hoppers. People have the right to do it. I said the hip-hoppers was wrong to use the N-word. Well, guess what? So is Miss Laura. And I think that if the market drives it, it does not mean that we throw all of our values and standards aside because somebody will pay for it. Because then there's a lot of things people will pay for in this country that we find to be disgusting, and I think racism ought to be at the top of the list.
And Reverend Sharpton, getting back to some of the racist things that Rush Limbaugh has said, not only recently but over the years, there's a real pattern of behavior here. Is there going to be some pushback, some coalition of groups getting together, making it well known that this should not be acceptable on regulated airwaves in America? What's happening there?
I'm in Washington tomorrow. We're beginning to have some meetings. As I said to you before, we're going to the FCC. We're not going to let this go. He is not on uncensored satellite. He's on regulated radio. There must be standards, or the FCC must say we no longer have standards in America. We're going to force this issue where we have one set of rules that apply for everyone. And Rush Limbaugh is not only on regulated television, he's a keynote speaker at Republican conferences. He's celebrated in mainstream political circles. So is this the accepted behavior now? Tell us what the playing field is. Let's have it even. But you're not going to get away with playing one way on one side and another way on another side. We're going to force the issue.
Reverend Sharpton, we will definitely follow the story. Good to have you with us tonight. Thanks so much.
You bet.